Thank you for tuning in to Innovating Business, and for those listening, I hope you enjoy our podcast. Today with us is Dave Greig, CEO of TARUS Products in Sterling Heights. Welcome, Dave, to the show.
Thanks, Luke. Thanks for having me.
You bet. I know it's taken some time for us to schedule you getting on, and partly because you guys are really busy,
Yes.
which is great. But I mean, this is one I've been really excited about, just based on family-owned business, second generation, kind of the roots of the company, the culture of the company starting to shift. You guys are growing. These are all really exciting things for our listeners to know about, for me personally. But why don't we start, Dave? Tell us what TARUS Products is and what you guys do.
We make CNC machines for the automotive design, for mold makers, for aerospace, for nuclear reactors, heat exchangers. We are located globally in China, Japan, Korea, Australia, Europe, Brazil. A lot of these are in car design manufacturers over there. We build machines that cut clay for car design. We build machines that drill holes for what they call gun drilling, and that's really what it is. It's a long drill that drills with oil and drills deep holes for molds. We build steel cutting machines for the mold industry, and we also do CMM inspection. So you have a probe and you're checking a part, a little bit of everything.
Everybody loves a good founder story. So talk about sort of the roots of the company.
Well, it was started by my father, smartest man I know. He started out of his garage, started selling in the back doors of places, and then he was finally asked to make a machine. And so he made a machine, EDM machine, and from there he went on to make gun drilling machines, CMMs, duplicating machines, design machines. But what made him really special is that he found out not only what, the customer would come and ask for something, he wouldn't just make what they asked for. He would look at their process, look at what they were doing, and then say, well, why are you doing it that way? Why don't you do this? I can make a machine that does this for you. And then he would do it. And that was one of his greatest attributes. He loves to design, loves to create, and he passed that along to the culture of our company. We try to do everything in-house. If you were to come to our place, the reaction is, wow, you guys do all this here. You go through it from the line burning to the welding, grinding, machining, engineering, of course, electrical panels, wiring. We make our own control. It's pretty unheard of for any CNC manufacturer to do all that, and it all stemmed from my father and how he did business and how he, taught us to do business.
When did you come into the company?
I started working there when I was 15.
Wow.
I was, of course, around the shop. I have pictures of Christmas trees with beer cans, and back in the day when I was a little kid, they would stand by their Christmas parties and stuff.
But you weren't drinking the beer that went on the Christmas trees.
No, I wasn't drinking the beer.
Make sure that was clear.
So I started when I was 15, started going there working after school every day from like 3 to 9 o'clock at night, and then I'd work on the weekend, and then I'd work in the summer full-time. But my dad started off, right, from the beginning, having me. My first job was at the new shop in Sterling Heights, 1985. And my job was to sweep the parking lot, and I'd sweep about 3 feet of sand, put it in a wheelbarrow, and walk it about a half a mile back and dump it. I did that in like 85, 90 degree heat, and I probably weighed 110 pounds, I was a small kid at the time. So that's how he started me, and then from there, I worked in the weld shop, learned how to grind, weld, and then moved to the machine shop, learned how to run the machines, learned how to drill and tap holes and deburr machines. Worked my way up into actually learning the software and training people. And then I kind of taught myself how to program. My dad would help me, and I learned how to program the machines, the actual user interface, because we had our own control.
Right.
And that's how people run the machine, that side of it. And then I eventually learned how to do the other side that actually made the machine move. So I kind of went through the whole company, and that's our culture, has always been that way. I have several guys that hired in around the same time as me, still working today, that are in the same type of position. They've moved up in the head of engineering or to plant manager, and all over the place there's guys that did the same thing, that started with no knowledge of anything and worked their way up. So that's kind of been our culture, and that's how I started, and that's how everybody else started.
So that's an old cliche almost. If you really want to run a company, you got to start at the very minimum job within the company and learn sort of every facet of it all the way up. But your company is so complex though.
Yes.
And you have done every single piece of complex part of that, from engineering, design, and tool cutting, and
For the most
machining,
part,
and
yeah.
programming, and you still do all of that stuff in-house, like you
Yes.
mentioned. So how does that line up with competitors? I mean, how much of an edge does that give you? I mean, it sounds like there's a lot of customization you can provide to every client, to
Yes.
every customer.
Yes.
Does that customization get you more opportunity? Or does that customization leave you more with a really good core group of customers that are just relying on you for pretty much everything, or both?
Yeah, it can work both ways. My father's always found niches, and we do this. We do the same thing. We find the niche places to go to, because yes, we can adapt extremely quick, because we can, not only we can design a new machine for you and build it, and we can customize the software, tailor it to what you need. And because we have all those different processes in our, that we are doing all those things in-house, we can adapt quickly where other people can't. They have to wait on somebody else to be able to make the changes to their machine or adapt. And a lot of people they'll tell you, no, these are the ones we make and that's all we're making. We're not going to do what you. So yeah, it gives us a huge advantage being able to do all this in-house. It does add complexity and makes things a little bit tougher sometimes, because we are doing so much rather than doing the same thing over and over. But I think the experience of doing it itself has made us, what gives us that edge to compete with people on that level.
Right. It's a family-owned business. Family-owned businesses, reputation-wise, there's always this perspective of a family-owned business. All kinds of opinions. So you've been living and breathing it for a long time.
Yes.
Can you talk about the culture of a family-owned business and how that culture has evolved now that you are CEO, and sort of what aspects have changed?
Okay.
And how you sort of look at the company going forward from where you are today for like the next 5 years from a cultural standpoint?
Okay. Yeah, my father was always different at work, never brought work home. So for me and my brother growing up there, yes, there's different aspects of, he's your father, so when he gets upset at you there, obviously it's hard, you take it home, but he never did. He never brought it home. I mean, he never even talked about work at home. It was done. So from that perspective, I always appreciate that, and I've always tried to do that with my life, and my brother, I think, does the same. What was weird for us is that we were kind of running the company and didn't even really realize that we were doing that when my father was kind of stepping back. But I still felt like, and my brother the same way, Dave Greig, he's in charge of general sales, marketing. We felt like we were running it, but we weren't yet, because we're still relying on my father. He was always there, and that's the dynamic you get, because it's like your dad. You count on him, he's there, he's gonna take care of everything. So when we finally started realizing, like, hey, wait a minute, we got to start doing this now. It's our time to start doing this. We're owners, because we never really felt like owners. We always felt like we worked for them.
Right.
That's when we kind of came together and said, hey, look, we got to change our culture now, because it was just kind of sitting there and it was not changing. And we got a growth strategist, John Quinlan, who came in and helped us out. It's been great, because of we've got our we made our values, and we started making role definitions to help engage employees. The culture going forward is to continue to keep working on what we call emotional intelligence, working with the people to get their input back to you, and give them input continually, monthly, setting goals. That's a huge thing for all employees. They want something to strive for. Right. Skill sheets. What can you do? Where can you improve? And they want that, and they want to be able to do stuff on their own. So we also have what we call action plans, where anybody in the shop, at wherever they are, can be involved in doing something that's not in their normal work flow. Whatever project that might need something done, they'll be in charge of it. So we empower them to be able to do these projects. And I think that's a huge thing in building our culture.
And those are difficult things to implement.
Very.
And everything you hear about culture change, it has to be so consistent with leadership.
Yep.
That it's a significant detriment if leadership doesn't keep pushing the culture, right? It could actually backfire on you.
Correct.
So yours is a culture of accountability, right?
Yes.
And engagement and communication.
Yep.
Right. So the employees now feel like they have a very significant role in where the future of the company goes versus going in, doing a job, and going home.
Right. And and that's just we're still working on that because it takes a while. We went down through supervisors to the reports and getting everybody involved and into the company. Like you said, it's tough work. It's a long time. My core team, my main guys are still checking themselves. They're still learning how, when they screw up, to come and admit it and work on how they can, change. And it's amazing to see the changes in some of these people.
How many employees do you have right now?
We're up to just over 100. I think we're at 122 now.
And is this the largest the company's been?
No, at one point we were about 145, 150.
Okay.
But back in the I want to say late 90s, there was a big time slowdown, and then again in 08 was another time that was really slow for our industry. So luckily for us, my dad's the way he ran the company then is he was always real cautious and not expanding too fast, but he also kept all these different areas going, and so we're kind of following the same format. We want to have a little part of everything because when things slow down in car design, you might pick up in aerospace or some of these other areas. So,
right.
Yeah, we plan on trying to grow the company again. My plan is in 5 years to be up to 160 people, 170 people. Add on to our existing shop. We had plans before, and I would like to do that again because my goal is to double our sales in 5 years.
That's awesome.
So,
in terms of hiring,
mm-hmm.
so you've got, I'm assuming, a fairly multidisciplinary workforce almost, maybe some interchangeable people kind of moving across different facets of the business potentially based on the skill set required?
Yes.
So how easy or difficult is it to find new people coming into the business, number one, that want that functionality change kind of on a regular basis? And number two, is your culture, does that persuade anybody to maybe hire in because they see that's the culture of accountability that people want to be a part of?
I think so.
What kind of employee are you looking for, I guess, is what my question is.
Hardworking, honest. I know that sounds like a cliche.
Old school.
It's old school, but it's true. My dad always believed he could teach anybody how to do anything in that shop. And if he couldn't, he didn't understand why, And I know I keep referencing him, but that's where I learned everything I know. Yeah, we look for hardworking guys and ladies. And the thing is, you just want them, you want them there all the time. They're eager to learn, and you can point them out. It doesn't take long. Within a month, if this person is a guy that's going to be the one that's going to take it to that next level and move on to another area. And we have a process pretty much down where we bring them into a certain area. We kind of weed them out, see how they're going to do. As soon as they're they're ready to go, we move them on, and then they move on from there. And like I said, so many guys that are supervisors now, they started off working the minimum wage. A lot of them. But we do hire technical people too. We have several engineers for our design for mechanical, and we have several for electrical. Computer design. We're very big in writing our own stuff for our controls.
Good. Switching gears. Can you talk about some of your customer projects right now that kind of has everybody really excited to work on?
Yeah, there's quite a few. It kind of covers a lot of different areas again. We have a new machine coming out for the car design. One of the things in the car design people probably don't know is that our machines, especially where we are, because we're local to the big three, we've always kind of had an in. Every car you see pretty much has been cut on one of our machines as far as in clay. Car designers, when they make a machine or when they make a car, they'll sculpt it, and we used to take that data and scan it back in and then recut it for them. A lot of times now they're just cutting it because they're doing a lot of the design inside and the reason they do that is so they can scrape it and look at it, and they like to still see it in the clay. So, so we have a new machine coming out for that. That's much faster, much more rigid, 5-axis head, which they didn't have before. So that can really, I think it's going to be a big hit for us coming out because we haven't really redesigned that one in a long time. So we're really pumped about that one, and got a big project going with that. So
that machine is full car design out of clay.
Yes.
That's awesome. That's really, really cool stuff.
It is really cool. And you'll
that
see
goes
some
into the customer facility.
Yes.
And you guys
they cut the
serve
clay
that.
cars,
Yeah.
and yep, that's how they approve the designs on the cars, is by putting them in the clay and letting people come and look at them. And so, and that's another thing. We did way back when is we made several tools to change the way that technology. They were doing all the manual, and we said, hey, wait a minute, we'll make a machine for you, and that's when we started. And that's something we're really proud of, is that we kind of helped push that along way back in the early 80s.
And actually, some of the car commercials that you see today,
you will see our machine.
That's really cool.
Yep.
So that's automotive.
Yep.
What are some of the other industry projects you're working on that are?
Well, we have a new machine coming out. Well, what's exciting is we are teaming up. We've always had our own control, and there's a lot of advantages to having your own control. And for like design, it's perfect because we make ours really easy to use, user-friendly. But we've had requests to put on a hide-and-hide control on our machine. So we are putting a hide-and-hide control on our machine. It's a faster control than ours, maybe a little bit more complicated, but it's going to turn our machine that we have now, a PMT machine, which is a mold cutting machine. It's going to really turn that into what I would say like a beast of a machine to me. I mean, it's a machine with the head that we're putting on it, the tool changer, the enclosure. It's gonna rock. It's gonna be an incredible machine, and it's the first for us that's has all this incorporated into it. We've always been told that we make a great. They would say you guys make great metal. Our machines last a long time. They're solid. They're more rigid than most machines out there, and adding this little bit to it, I think, is going to put us over the top with that kind of machine. So I'm excited about that.
That's great.
And one more thing, that as a side note, I was a programmer at one point. So one of my big pushes was the data in the shop, and I'm sure a lot of guys who have shops like ours can relate, getting feedback on how your machines are doing and what they're running, time-wise and everything else, and keep track of inventory and all that. ERP systems, MRP systems, what people call them. I got frustrated with ours. I was always trying to get good data out, and I couldn't figure out how much the machine really cost me. Ours are very complicated bill of materials, so you can imagine trying to keep track of all the time and all the stuff going into it is a struggle. So I first started writing reports for it, and then hired someone to write reports for it, and then after a while said, you know what, I'm just going to make my own. Let's just make our own. And we've been running it now for about 7 months. We're going to launch it at the show in Canada, and I'm very excited about it because it touches all different areas of that, and I plan on selling that going forward. And I think that's the beauty of it, is we're running it all the time.
Right.
So we're testing it and running it, and we're more complicated than most people need. So I know and it touches everything from accounting to engineering to service, inventory, manufacturing times.
All real-time data capturing.
All real-time data capturing.
Wow.
Scanners, scan in, scan out, all the stuff. Remote stuff for your phone. So
you're creating an application for it that someone could have on a handheld device?
it's web-based.
Okay.
So it can run on anything you got. And we also made mobile versions for the phones to make it easier for like our service guys for clocking in and out, electronic signatures, things like that. So it's really exciting. That's my, one of my side passions, because
The future of manufacturing is efficiency.
Yep.
And cost reduction.
Yep.
Right? And to be able to recognize that within your own plant,
Yep.
to pull that out and start offering that as a new product line, I'd be very interested to see how that goes.
Yep.
So good luck with that.
Thank you.
Well, tremendous insights on TARUS Products, and thank you for sharing that with us.
Mm-hmm.
Great insights on the history of the company, founded by your father, many of the principles of which you guys still push out to the employees in the company today in terms of values. Thank you so much for joining us today. This was awesome.
Well, thank you for having me.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
I do appreciate it.